Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. I have not been doing a good job at literally anything in life. Yeah, I haven't really recorded in 2025. You are now in my new house, so that has been a thing that happened. And we are now in March. Technically, I am filming this March 19th, and if I am smart, I will also edit this and upload this tonight because we're in the thick of it right now. The beginning of March astrology is, to put it lightly, a punch in the face. First, Venus goes retrograde in Aries. It begins its Aries ingress, and then later it will go into Pisces. Specifically, it will go into Pisces on March 27th, but it will be retrograde between March 1st, March 12th, or excuse me, April 12th. So we have that going on. Mind you, Mercury goes retrograde. So there will be a lunar eclipse in Virgo on March 14th, which we already kind of passed, but that will be a 6-month progression. So even though we are now past it, we're still in it, if that makes sense. And then March 15th, Mercury begins its retrograde period, starting in Aries and then later will end in Pisces. March 29th, there will be a solar eclipse in Aries, and Mercury retrograde by then goes from Aries to Pisces. And then March 29th, I think it might be the 30th. Either way, I think it's the 30th, Neptune begins its 14-year marker in Aries, and the last time that it was in Aries, Neptune was the 1800s, specifically the first day after the beginning of the Civil War. So yeah, and then what happened during that 15-year period, you ask? Well, the beginning of the KKK, which is the French Revolution. I'm pretty sure Marie Antoinette's beheading was that, where, you know, the whole movement was the extremely big masses of poor citizens were trying to take back the skewed power and privilege that the wealthy was hoarding. Sound familiar to you? The main characters of all of these crazy transits are going to be Aries, Virgo, and Pisces. No one else. If anyone says anything else, they're lying to you. Barney's agreeing with me. With that being said, so Venus going retrograde. Venus is the planet of love. It's of material possessions, wealth, and ultimately where we place value into things and people. And while it's retrograde between Aries and Pisces for a month, relationships are intense. Our money is weird. If you're a small business owner, you could be feeling like money's very mediocre this month. You could be feeling like clients are very up in the air. You could feel like relationship dynamics with clients or with people in general just don't add up or make sense. This could also be a month where you're seeing a lot of breakups happen. Now, I don't want to fearmonger because, like, I feel like with every retrograde season, we always tend to be like, the sky is falling. And it's not to say that, like, yeah, sometimes retrograde periods are illuminating and do indicate, like, some strife. But I feel like that also goes with literally every event in life. There could be good and bad in every circumstance. Like, for example, guys, I got engaged during a Venus retrograde period a while ago. There's like good and bad, okay? It's not always good, it's not always bad. I do think that Venus retrograde periods are a time of caution. Like, I would avoid signing business contracts. I would avoid jumping into new relationships, jumping out of relationships hastily, because something that I do notice about Venus retrograde periods is that, like, when people dramatically try to, like, make a huge relationship change under a Venus retrograde, it typically isn't founded on, like, any solid basis. And what I mean specifically are, like, people who break up in haste or jump into a relationship in haste. Those things don't usually stand the test of time, if that makes sense. However, I feel like business contracts can be kind of here nor there. It can go either. While Venus is retrograde, Mercury also goes retrograde as well. And Mercury, as we know, is the planet of communication, technology, and so, like, situations with people driving like they are in Bird Box, like literally blindfolding themselves and then just getting behind the wheel. That's probably what it will feel like for the next month. I put black tourmaline in my car, and I keep it in my car at all times just because it's supposed to be like a protective crystal about traffic and driving. I got my license at 26, so I feel like that's just a nice little thing that I do. I feel like a lot of metaphysical shops usually are aware when like Mercury's about to go retrograde because they have like a bunch of little things to like use or buy. But anyways, I'm getting off topic. The lunar eclipse in Virgo was only opposing Saturn. In my opinion, I feel like the beginning of March astrology, people are incredibly isolated or having feelings of just not being able to connect with people, or feeling like a lot of the tasks and roles and lessons that they're navigating in early March, they have to do alone. I feel like a lot of the things around March are like you have to do things alone, and you have to do things the like goal of making other people clap. Like you have to do things without how people are going to perceive you. You have to do things based on how you perceive yourself. And I definitely feel like with that Aries archetype, we start off strong with those like Aries transits where people are just needing to navigate things and lessons on their own. Like you could feel like your group chat's quiet. You could feel like people are not texting back. You can also quickly feel like everyone is collectively going through something. However, if you want to see my free horoscopes, they're literally linked on my Twitter. And then if you want to see my paid horoscopes that are like paragraphs each of each event, they're on my Patreon. And yeah, and my Neptune and Aries on my Patreon is free, but for members, free members, like you can sign up as a free member. Okay, so I'm gonna quickly go do like a rundown of each transit and how it manifests in your chart. And then at the end of the video, I will talk a little bit about Neptune and Aries, but again, that post that I wrote is free. You can literally just be a free member on my Patreon and get to access it without paying anything. So, Aries rising. So Mercury and Venus retrograde will go from your 1st house to your 12th house. So I feel like the themes around both are, again, you having to navigate a lot of situations by yourself. With Mercury retrograde, you might need to just watch what you say more because the knee-jerk reaction to put your foot in your mouth will be a little bit higher. And then with Venus retrograde, you may be feeling like just not feeling your physical appearance right now. You could be feeling like everything just doesn't look good, everything's not hitting right. You could feel like your selfies are not doing what you would like them to do, or you could be feeling like other people's value of you is like you're not getting the affirmation you would like. And I feel like this is a time to kind of recede into yourself a little bit. I feel like there's a strong feeling with both Mercury and Venus retrograde on your ascendant where you're like, look at me, or validate me. But the more that you do that, the more you could feel like you're like diminishing your own power and worth like in the process. Like wanting specific reactions from people and getting the adverse reaction is not going to make you feel any better. So I really feel like the first portion of this month, putting a lot of focus in like your solitude, protecting your peace, and ultimately like making time only for people who are making time for you, or like not giving you weird vibes. Like stop randomly seeking validation by people who make you feel like you're bothering them, and just like stick with like the few niche friends or people that you feel like are always very just good to be around. But I would say like limit your interactions, like choose who you're talking to wisely. And then later you'll go into a rest period because it'll be in your 12th house of like mental health, illness, addiction, and hidden enemies. So again, I feel like Aries risings just need to like chill out this month. Also, the lunar eclipse was in your 6th house of gut health, of daily routine, colleagues, work life, and productivity, as well as like dynamics with pets. Maybe you had to go to the vet this month with your pet, or maybe you have considered impulsively adopting a pet. For me, as an Aries rising, I ate like a burrata pizza. I'm literally gonna vomit just thinking about it. I ate like a burrata pizza the day of the Virgo eclipse and gave myself a horrible stomach ache to the point that I literally felt like I was being stabbed. So don't be like me. Yeah, basically just prioritizing your health and wellness, but also like reconstructing your habits, your lifestyle, your diet in a way that could benefit you could be themes that are the focal point during the lunar eclipse. Like you could be done with behaviors or routines that just don't make you feel good. Because the 6th house is inherently you breaking down your routines and your daily habits, but also like your health, your lifestyle choices. The solar eclipse at the end of the month will also go back to your ascendant. Now, the solar eclipse is a little bit more energetic, but it still is about a dramatic change. And this is not to say like never expect eclipses to be positive, but I would never put a lot of merit or like a lot of eggs in a basket of eclipses panning out the way you think they will. The one thing eclipses like to do is like play gotcha. Like they never want you to think they like you to underestimate or overestimate them. They basically want to keep you on your toes. So you can always expect lunar eclipses because they're inherent full moons, which full moons are a time of purging and loss and like cutting something out of your life. And solar eclipses are new moons on steroids, which are essentially like a new leaf, a new beginning, a new year, new me. But with the eclipse vibe, it's like a funky, like, it's an Aries. So metaphorically, it's like a punch in your face. It's like your friend that you always go to who does not coddle you or hold your hand, but tells you the truth that you know that you can get from them. That's what that is. There's going to be an abrupt change or an immediate awareness around something with how you assert yourself or how you're viewed by others. And it could also just be like your own personal reflection of your identity that is changing under the solar eclipse. Again, I have horoscopes everywhere, so like support me. Taurus risings, you guys have the Mercury and Venus retrogrades through your 12th house and then later in your 11th house. So the first half is the rest period. You need to be reflective of things that you're addicted to, like your screen time, or have you been drinking too much alcohol? Like, these are things that are going to pop up that you need to re-examine. You could also be feeling like sometimes your friends don't really feel like your friends. This is very common for everyone this month, and I feel like that's just mainly because the lunar eclipse opposing Saturn is very isolation vibes. So I do feel like later in the month, when Venus and Mercury end up in your 11th house of community, social media activism, I do feel like you're going to pivot towards how to be more intentional about the company you keep, the people who have access to you, the tone that you carry with them. Essentially, like, you're going to be more selective on like who you let into your life. The lunar eclipse also took place in your 5th house of marriage, fertility, sex, passion, love, but also hobbies, like what you take pleasure in, like pottery, you know, and who you take pleasure in. But with that being said, there was a major pivot around this house where maybe you had to let go of a hobby that you used to love, that is no longer doing it for you. Or this could also apply to a relationship. Maybe some of you did have marital issues, or some of you did have a breakup, but it could have also been like, hey, these things are not working in our relationship. This is how we can move, like, and grow and do better. It doesn't always have to end in a breakup. It does for some, but not all. So yeah, the lunar eclipse is breaking down things in their 5th house, but then the solar eclipse will be in the 12th house. And I feel like the 12th house solar eclipse is meant for you to re-examine both your daily routines, habits, lifestyle choices. Sorry, by the way, if you have to hear some random mowing or something, because I have a fucking curse on me, and anytime I have to record, some kind of noise has to happen in my surroundings. Anyways, with that being said, the solar eclipse in the 12th house is you could be having a change of belief around who you want to be friends with, who, like, what your habits or lifestyle choices are. You could be deciding to like quit alcohol. You could be deciding to lower your screen time, or like change something about your daily routine that is just no longer working for you. Overall, in my personal opinion, Taurus risings are kind of being encouraged to re-examine who and what they love, but they're also mainly encouraged to rest this month. It's not the most like main character month for Taurus risings, but it doesn't mean that it won't impact you. I just feel like the lessons are more of like, how can you rest and decompress and find healthier outlets in your life? Okay, so Gemini risings, you will have the Mercury and Venus retrograde through your 11th house and then later in your 10th house. So a major reassessment period around who you interact with, what friend groups you're around, if the people that you consider a friend share the same belief systems or like politics that you do. Gemini risings, you are readjusting both your friendships, who has access to, who you follow on social media, what you consume on social media, but also you're readjusting dynamics within your work. Whether you are needing to demand a raise, whether you are needing to fix your resume, or maybe you're just thinking about a major career pivot or change altogether that like you're looking around and you're like, I don't know if this is the right career I want to be in. Now, these are not times to up and quit your job on a whim, up and crash out in your group chats. Like, these are reflective periods. So then the lunar eclipse is going to be in your 4th house, and there's going to be like a major release around your home dynamics, who you live with. Like, maybe you have to have a conversation about boundaries with your roommate. Maybe you are deciding that it's time for you to move out of your family home. Maybe you're like applying to new places or looking at new homes, like apartments, things like that. Or you could just be like redecorating your home, trying to make it a more cozier or like safe space if you feel like it hasn't been that way. There could be a major like situation around family that needs a resolution or needs your attention. And some of you could be dramatically cutting some family members off. And then the solar eclipse in the 11th house of social media, friendships, spaces that you enter that you are like have niche interests in. You could be blocking people, you could be changing who your friends are. There could be some pivots around deciding what kind of people you want around you, and this could also heavily coincide with the idea that show me your friends and I'll tell you who you are. So you could be like, wait, I don't actually want to be associated with that person. Those could all be things that are popping up for you. Cancer risings, you will have the Mercury and Venus retrogrades from the 10th house to the 9th house. So career dynamics will be shifted. You will also be maybe needing to reassess if you're happy with your career, if you need to demand a raise or talk to your boss about something. You could be just wanting to pivot away or question certain things about your workplace that maybe need to be addressed or navigated later. 9th house themes are also active, so if you have any travel plans this month, I wouldn't be that surprised if there's some delays or flight cancellations. I'm sorry, like, it's retrograde season. Also, if you impulsively decide to buy random trips or plan trips right now, it could literally feel like the universe is working against you. And I'm not saying that it's gonna always be bad, but just expect the unexpected during retrograde season and eclipse season. And now lunar eclipse will be in your 3rd house. Major adjustments with communication. You may need to address something with your car. You could be fighting with someone in traffic. I mean, this technically already passed. This was on the 14th, but this month, if you could try to like avoid road rage, might be your saving grace. Now, I'm not gonna say something dramatic and crazy would happen, but just like you're more prone to have road rage. Now, the solar eclipse will be in your 10th house, so you could be like ready to pivot away from your career altogether and go into a way new direction. You could be ready to launch your own business. Leo risings, you will have Mercury and Venus retrogrades through your 9th and then later 8th house. So you could be thinking about going back to school. You could be having complications with travel right now. It could literally feel like the odds are not in your favor because if you have anything booked this month, you could be navigating delays or cancellations or random hidden fees. This is just not a fun month to travel. However, if you do travel, it's not gonna be only bad. I just would say expect the unexpected. This could be a great time to also sit back and reflect on if it's time to sign up for a new course or a new skill with going back to school. You are also navigating themes in your 8th house later in the month, so honestly some of you could be like, hey, it's time to do witchcraft. It's time to hire that Etsy witch. No, I'm just kidding. Don't do that right now. But some of you could be navigating issues with your credit card. You actually are very much advised to watch what you spend this month. You can navigate issues with your finances, like buyer's remorse, maxing out a credit card, or owing the IRS. But some of you could also just be, if you are a business owner, you could be just navigating like fluctuations and random cancellations with clients that are just not fun. Later in the month, the lunar eclipse will be in the 2nd house. So again, there's a lot of tension and strain around not only like your finances this month, but like who you place importance and value into. It could feel like things are not getting reciprocated. This could be a month about like your self-worth, your self-value, but also who you hold in high regard and like whether or not you feel they hold you in high regard. And then later in the month, there will be a solar eclipse in your 9th house. So realizations, you know, you'll just be like realizing things. I don't know if you know what I'm referencing. But this could be you, again, thinking really heavily about, maybe I want to go back to school. Maybe I want to sign up for a course and just expand my mind and gain some enlightenment. Or maybe you're like, maybe I need to travel. Maybe I need to book a summer vacation. Maybe I need to move. Those could all be things that you're adjusting. Now again, a lot of the month is like self-worth, self-evaluation, and a reflection of who people are to you and what they contribute to you. So you could be like, maybe I need to take a step back, and that's what the realizations are. Virgo risings, you have Mercury and Venus retrograde through your 8th house and then later your 7th house. So again, navigating situations like potential debt, high credit card bills, IRS situations, or maybe messing with witchcraft a little bit. You could be navigating, if you're a business owner, situations with client fluctuations or cancellations. You could be just navigating themes around other people's money investment in you being a little weird, you either owing money or you dabbling in spirituality, and again, hiring an Etsy witch. I really don't think that you should just hire an Etsy witch, but maybe, but be careful. And later in the month, you will have the lunar eclipse in your 1st house. So I feel like Virgo risings probably feel a little catfish this month, because I feel like the month starts off where it's like, you're not the main star of the show, you're not center stage, and then all of a sudden there's just like a random spotlight on you in the middle of the month where all these random things happen. It could feel like people are really crazy around you. It could feel like people are projecting weird vibes onto you. It could feel like you're needing to express a certain boundary with people. This is also a very isolating lunar eclipse because Saturn is opposing it, so it could feel like you're having to stand in your truth or like stand your ground about something that people are having a hard time understanding, and you might still need to do it anyway. So the vibe this month is like, I need to stand in my truth whether or not other people stand with me, but damn, it sucks that they don't stand with me. That's kind of the vibe. That person has a small PP. Okay, so now solar eclipse in the 8th house. So there could be some situations again around buyer's remorse. At the end of the month, you could be looking at your credit card statements and you could be like, wow, I really crashed out and just like went way too crazy with retail therapy. Or there's some hidden fees that got tacked on that you have to like wrestle with. Now, not everyone's gonna be like navigating deep financial strife, but I do feel like you should be very cautious of the fact that there are some funky elements or transits this month surrounding your debt ratio. So if you could just like be mindful of that throughout the month and keep an eye on it throughout the month, you could avoid essentially buyer's remorse or just feeling stressed in general about your finances. Libra risings, you will have the Mercury Venus retrograde period through the 7th house and then later the 6th house. So reassessing who people are to you in your life. Maybe you had big accomplishments happen in your life and you felt like people did not clap for you, and those were the same people that you would clap really loud for. I feel like you're kind of taking a step back from situations and you're kind of like, I'm not going to keep clapping at every single thing, and then all of a sudden like you notice who's not clapping for you. Basically like you're figuring out who people are to you and like really where they place you in their life. With that being said, you're also having some kind of disruptions or changes around your daily routines. Maybe you're needing to get your health in check, or maybe you just have some health goals that you want to adhere to and you're being more strict or serious about that as a result of what you want to do. Overall, you're just reflecting both your relationships but also like your daily routines and how you can change things to feel better for yourself. The lunar eclipse will be in the 12th house of subconscious thought. You will need to rest and take it easy. You're gonna feel really drained and zapped sometimes this month. Like you're gonna feel a little bit like fatigued, tired. I think the less you do, the better, in the sense that like I would avoid like drinking or partying or doing anything super crazy this month, because it's also kind of like if you don't rest this month, your body will make you. So take that as you will. And then later the solar eclipse will be in your 7th house, so you could be having like a major shift of like, you know what, these are my friends, these aren't, I'm good. And it could feel like a positive thing because you are leaving the month with a clearer vision of like where you stand with people, but it could come off like a very shocking conversation that is had, like someone abruptly being very blindsided by your feelings, but yeah, or vice versa. You could be blindsided by someone letting you know how they feel about you. Either way, it's just going to be a fluctuation of your relationships or interactions with other people. I don't think it's going to be necessarily just romantic. I think it could literally be like interactions with anyone you come into contact with. Scorpio risings, you are going to have the Mercury and Venus retrograde period in your 6th house and then later your 5th house. So fluctuations with your daily routine, your physical lifestyle choices, your habits. You could be reassessing what's not working in those areas, what needs to change. You could also be navigating what and who you love. The things that you used to care about, you might not be caring about that much anymore. You could be prone to like reassessing, like if you want to still be in certain relationship dynamics with people. Your romantic relationships could feel a little chaotic. However, it's more of like a reflection period. You're taking a step back and just being like, huh, you know, in those areas of your life. Now, with that being said, lunar eclipse will be in your 11th house this month. Solar eclipse will be in your 6th house this month. So the lunar eclipse in the 11th house feels a little isolating. It could feel like your friends kind of ghosted you, or it could feel like your friends are just feeling funky this month. Now, on one hand, I would say giving everyone a bit of grace this month is good, because you're not going to get like instant gratification or immediate affirmation the way that you would like to. And that's not necessarily a bad thing, because I feel like a lot of the themes this month are like you need to stand on your own. However, I do feel like you could be like, oh, that person's not a friend, or that person's my friend, and I feel like you could just be being more firm with yourself about those things. And that could come with a lot of baggage. It could come with a lot of relief. It really is a mixed bag. It can also be blocking people, unfollowing people, things like that. Solar eclipse in your 6th house, changing your daily routine, changing your lifestyle based on, oh, I don't like that. This is my lifestyle. I don't like that. These habits over time have accumulated into X, Y, and Z. So if I change these habits, then X, Y, and Z won't be there. You know, these are like the things that you're thinking about in your life right now. Whether it's being more organized, whether it's like eating more whole foods, like those things. Sagittarius risings, Mercury and Venus retrograde will go from your 5th house to your 4th house. So romantic relationships could be in question. You could be changing certain hobbies that you used to really feel passionate about, but maybe you're just feeling like you're not that passionate about it anymore. Also, like too, like some of your hobbies could just be like, you could be in like a slump, like a reading slump or something, a writer's block. It doesn't necessarily mean that the hobby is no good for you anymore. It could just mean that like the retrograde period is like encouraging you to have a bit of a pause or a break. It's going into your 4th house of family and home dynamics, so you could be just reassessing if you still want to live where you live, if you feel like you need to enforce a boundary around certain family members or friends, just adjusting who has access to you, if you feel like your home is comfortable, if you need to like remodel or redecorate your home to feel more like a cozy, safe space vibe. The lunar eclipse will be in your 10th house of career and reputation, and aspirational goals. So you could be needing to identify if you still want to work where you work, if you want to go back to school, like to go after a new job path or career path, or if you just want to adjust, I don't know, dynamics or boundaries within your current job, like talking to your boss about something, putting a boundary up with a colleague, things like that. Solar eclipse will be in your 4th house, so some of you could be getting the keys to a new apartment. Some of you could be moving out, some of you could be excited about redecorating, some of you could be having dramatic conversations with family members or who you live with, boundaries with roommates. It could feel like necessary change that's happening that you have a lot more say in, but it might come with like good and bad. It could be like a mixed bag feeling, like bittersweet vibes. Aquarius risings, you have Mercury and Venus retrograde through your 3rd house, then later your 2nd house. So you might need to fix your car during this time. You might need to avoid road rage during this time. You might also be adjusting who you follow on social media. Maybe certain people just seem kind of cheesy these days, or they don't resonate with you anymore. You could be adjusting how you talk to people or taking in information based on how people talk to you. So the battery died on my camera, so I'm gonna finish this. With my phone. And of course, is it truly even one of my videos if I don't forget one of the zodiac signs? So Capricorn risings, you guys have Mercury retrograde through your 4th house and then later your 3rd house. You're reassessing dynamics around where you live, who you live with, and also dynamics on if you want to readjust where like your home environment, or if you want to redecorate your home environment. You could be putting up boundaries with family members or roommates. And then later the retrograde period for both Venus and Mercury will go into your 3rd house of communication. So you could be setting boundaries with people. You can really need to like think before you speak, because you could have knee-jerk reactions and say things that you later regret. You may also need to be like fixing something up with your car, navigating like an oil change. And you could be readjusting like who has access to you on social media, like making certain accounts private, blocking people, things like that. Sorry, one second. And then the lunar eclipse will be in your 9th house, so you could be either dropping out of school, signing up for school, deciding to move somewhere, deciding to travel somewhere. Now, because it's a retrograde period, I would obviously advise you to not just abruptly do something in the middle of this month, but planning or reassessing things on like whether or not what you want to do in the future. I think that's okay. And you could just be having a lot of realizations around navigating who people are around you, what you want around you, and just proceeding that way. There could be an end of a previous idea that you used to have, or a stance you used to have about something, with like an opinion shift. And then the solar eclipse will be in your 4th house, so you could be potentially moving out. You could be buying property, you could be moving into a new place, getting like the keys somewhere to like an apartment, putting up boundaries with family, blocking family, or maybe alleviating some kind of tension around your home dynamics. Yeah, Aquarius risings, the lunar eclipse will be in your 8th house, so you could be getting into witchcraft. You could be canceling your memberships or subscriptions for certain things if you feel like you're not getting something from it anymore. You could be adjusting a new boundary with clients, or you could be navigating some kind of credit card debt. Maybe you're trying to work to alleviate credit card debt. There could be something popping up with the IRS, like you have to like do paperwork with them. Or it could just be a major realization around like how people invest in you versus how you invest in other people, and whether you're maybe changing who has access to you. The solar eclipse will be in your 3rd house of cars, short travel, and siblings, but also like how you talk to people. So you could be like putting down boundaries with certain people. You could be having conversations with siblings. You could be fixing something with your car. Maybe some of you are like getting a new car. So these could also be things that play out for Aquarius risings. Pisces risings, Mercury and Venus retrograde will go through your 2nd house and then your 1st house, so fluctuations with your finances and who and what you put value into. The things that you used to care about, or the people that you used to care about, you could be like adjusting if there's still things that make you feel good or that make you feel like your energy and time is not being wasted. And then later you're kind of reflecting on your sense of self, both like your self-value, your self-worth, but also like maybe your physical appearance. Do not do anything physical appearance-wise to yourself. Thank me later. Wait until after retrograde season. Do it. Go ahead if you want to. If you want to, you're like, I already got the appointment. Do it. Don't say I didn't warn you. And lunar eclipse in the 7th house could be breaking away from certain relationship dynamics. Could be breaking away from maybe you're asserting a boundary with people that you come into contact with on a daily basis, like your neighbors. Maybe they're very nosy. Maybe they're always asking you things. Maybe your in-laws are always texting you, feeling like your phone is a technological leash to them and not actually like something that you decide when to pick up or when to talk to them. You know what I'm saying? Like you could just be assessing boundaries with different people or dynamics in your life. Some of you could be romantic, not always. And solar eclipse in the 2nd house. So some major movement around your bank account. I do think some of you could be overspending this month. However, this doesn't necessarily have to be negative. However, with eclipses, I'm not gonna like gas you up and make you feel like you're about to win the lottery. Because the thing about eclipses is like, it's usually a good and a bad thing that comes around that time. It's not like just a good thing or just a bad thing. So I don't want to make it sound like it's gonna be like a really bad situation with your finances, but it could be like fluctuations, some money loss, some money recovery, like just you pivoting away from how you used to spend your money or how you used to spend your time with certain people and deciding how to do things differently moving forward. That could be like the overall vibe. So yeah, since my camera is completely dead now, thank you guys for watching this chaotic video, and if you liked, give it a thumbs up, and please don't forget to see all my other more in-depth posts about this. Yeah, I was going to talk a little bit about the Neptune and Aries post, but because my camera died, I'm deciding not to. However, you can literally see it for free by just for free signing up on Patreon. It's free. There's no catch, and you can see it.